The night was quiet at the old dock, and the water shone under the pale moonlight. A lonely man named Arlen walked along the wooden planks, his boots making soft sounds that echoed in the silence. He was a strange man in the eyes of the town, always alone, always working on small inventions that nobody seemed to understand. People laughed at him and called him foolish, but Arlen did not mind. He found comfort in the stars and in the hum of his gadgets. On this night, he carried a small lantern and a toolbox, checking his devices one by one. He loved the dock because it was empty and peaceful, a place where nobody could mock him or watch him closely. Suddenly, a sharp, strange cry came from the water, a sound that made Arlen freeze. It was not like any animal he had heard before. It was soft but desperate, almost like someone was calling for help. Arlen's heart raced, curiosity and fear mixing together. He ran toward the sound and saw something he could never have imagined. Floating near the edge of the dock was a small, silver ship, half hidden in the shadows. Its surface was smooth and shiny, but it looked old and damaged, as if someone had thrown it away. From the ship came a soft groan, and Arlen leaned closer. He saw a figure inside, trembling and small, wrapped in a thin, glowing blanket. At first, he thought it was a child, but when the figure moved, he realized it was something else entirely. It had large, shining eyes, skin that reflected light like water, and delicate features that seemed almost fragile. Arlen's breath caught. He had never seen anything like this before, an alien being, abandoned and alone. He reached out carefully, speaking in soft, calm words, even though he knew she might not understand. The alien looked at him with fear, but also a hint of hope, and slowly, she let him lift her from the ship. Her body was light, almost like holding a bundle of feathers, and her eyes shone with a strange intelligence. Arlen wrapped her in his coat, noticing that she shivered, and for the first time, he felt a deep connection to another being. But the dock was not completely safe. Shadows moved in the distance, and Arlen sensed that someone, or something, was watching. He did not know if they were friend or enemy, but he could not leave her there, not after finding her like this. He whispered, "Don't worry, I will protect you." And for a moment, her eyes softened, as if she understood. Arlen carried her to a small shed at the edge of the dock, a place where he often worked on his inventions. He laid her down gently and examined her injuries, noticing bruises and scratches, signs that someone had mistreated her. The night felt longer as he worked, using his tools and simple medicines to make her comfortable. Outside, the wind howled and waves hit the dock, but inside the shed, a strange warmth grew. Arlen talked softly to her, telling stories about Earth, about stars, and about life. Though she did not respond with words, her eyes watched him closely, and he could feel her trust growing slowly. Hours passed, and the first light of dawn began to touch the water. The alien, once trembling and silent, now sat up slightly, looking at Arlen with curiosity. He smiled, a small, gentle smile, and realized that this was only the beginning. The dock had given him something he never expected, a companion, a mystery, and maybe, in time, a friend. But the world outside would not understand, and the night had only opened the door to a story far greater than he could imagine. The morning sun rose slowly over the dock, casting golden light on the old wood and calm water. Arlen watched the alien carefully, noticing how she moved with caution and hesitation. She had stayed quiet through the night, only opening her large, shining eyes when he approached. Her skin shimmered in the sunlight, soft and delicate, and her small hands trembled slightly. Arlen felt a mix of awe and responsibility, knowing he had to earn her trust. He brought her water in a small bowl and some food, simple fruits he had bought from the market. At first, she flinched, turning her head away, but hunger overcame fear, and she slowly touched the food. Arlen smiled softly, speaking in calm, gentle words, even though she could not understand them fully. He tried pointing to the food and saying, "Eat, safe," repeating the words over and over. Little by little, she mimicked him, tasting the fruit carefully, and he felt a small spark of hope. Days passed, and their communication grew in small, quiet ways. She could not speak his language, but her eyes, gestures, and soft sounds told him things words could not. Arlen discovered that she understood kindness, patience, and care, and he learned to read her movements like a book. Sometimes, she would reach for his hand, and he would let her hold it, feeling a strange warmth spread through him. Other times, she would hide behind a curtain, watching him work on his gadgets, curious but cautious. Outside, the town continued to gossip about him, mocking him for bringing an alien into his home. Some people whispered that she was dangerous, that he had lost his mind, but Arlen paid no attention. He knew she needed protection and understanding more than anything else. At night, he would tell her stories about Earth, about the stars and oceans, about people who were brave and kind. Though she could not answer, her eyes reflected the stars he spoke of, shining bright with wonder. Suspense built slowly as strange signs appeared around the dock, shadows moving in the distance. Arlen worried someone was watching them, someone who might want to take her away. He set small alarms and traps around the shed, simple but clever, inventions that could warn him of danger. The alien watched him carefully as he worked, sometimes tilting her head as if trying to understand. She began to follow him quietly, showing small signs of trust, never leaving his side completely. One afternoon, a loud noise from the dock startled them both, a splash in the water as if something was approaching. The alien froze, her hands gripping Arlen's arm tightly, and he whispered, "It's okay, I am here." She hesitated, then slowly relaxed, leaning on him for support, a silent promise forming between them. Arlen realized that trust was not just about safety, but about showing care, patience, and courage. And the alien, once so frightened and alone, was beginning to understand that she could rely on him. By evening, she moved closer to him, resting near the small fire he had made. Arlen talked quietly about his childhood, about inventions, and about dreams. Though her language was unknown, he felt her understanding, her curiosity, and the first glimmer of friendship. For the first time, she looked at him not as a stranger, but as someone who could protect her, guide her, and perhaps become her companion. The bond between them grew slowly, like a fragile plant reaching towards sunlight, ready to survive in a world that had rejected her. And in that quiet shed on the dock, with the stars above and water lapping below, a lonely man and a rejected alien began a journey together, learning to trust, to care, and to face the unknown. The story of the dock, the alien, and the man was only beginning. And soon, the world would see that even the most rejected being could find hope, friendship, and perhaps something more. The dock was quiet again, but the peace felt fragile. Arlen and the alien had grown closer, yet a sense of unease lingered in the air. He noticed small shadows moving at the edge of the water, shapes that seemed to vanish when he looked directly. The alien stiffened at times, her large eyes scanning the dark, and Arlen could feel her fear. Something was coming, something they could not yet see. Days earlier, Arlen had heard rumors of hunters who searched for alien beings. They were said to capture, sell, or experiment on creatures like the one he had found. The thought made his chest tighten, but he refused to show fear in front of her. He strengthened the shed with makeshift barriers and hid his small inventions in secret places. Every night, he lit only a tiny lantern, keeping shadows at bay. One evening, while he was repairing a gadget, he heard soft footsteps approaching. The alien froze, pressing herself against the wall, her glowing skin barely visible in the dim light. Arlen whispered, "Stay quiet, don't move," and a shiver ran down her spine. He peeked outside through a crack in the wooden wall. Two figures were at the dock, moving carefully, scanning the area, their eyes sharp and searching. Arlen knew immediately, they were hunters, and they had come for her. He grabbed a small device he had made, a simple alarm that could make loud noises and flashlight. He set it at the edge of the dock, hoping to scare them away or at least alert him if they came closer. The alien watched him, her fear slowly replaced by trust. She leaned closer, and he gently touched her hand, showing that he would protect her. The hunter's footsteps grew louder, echoing across the empty dock. Arlen's heart pounded, but he stayed calm, hiding in the shadows with her by his side. They were clever, moving silently, but Arlen was smarter, using the dock and his gadgets to his advantage. At one point, one of the hunters paused near the shed, peering inside. Arlen held his breath as the alien stayed perfectly still, barely daring to blink. Suddenly, his alarm went off, flashing light and making a loud sound. The hunters cursed and stumbled, giving Arlen the chance to push a small crate in front of the shed's entrance. He whispered urgently to the alien, "This way," leading her to a hidden corner behind some barrels. She followed without hesitation, trusting him completely now. Arlen felt a surge of relief and hope, knowing that their bond was stronger than any danger outside. The hunters searched for a long time, their voices low and threatening. But Arlen's careful planning and the alien's quiet movements kept them hidden. Eventually, the figures left, muttering curses and warnings, but failing to find them. The alien let out a soft sigh, her fear slowly fading, and she looked at Arlen with gratitude in her eyes. For the first time, she seemed almost human in her relief and trust. That night, they sat together near a small fire, the alien leaning slightly against him. Arlen spoke softly about the stars, about safety, and about hope. She listened, making small sounds, blinking slowly, learning to understand and to feel secure. He realized that trust was not just protection, but also patience, care, and shared courage. And the alien, once abandoned and rejected, was learning that she could face danger with someone by her side. Outside, the dock remained quiet, but the threat had not disappeared. Arlen knew the hunters might return, or worse, the town might discover them. Yet in that moment, he felt a strange pride, knowing that he had protected her and that they had survived together. The bond they shared was growing stronger, a mix of courage, hope, and trust. And in the quiet shed, with the stars shining above, a lonely man and a rejected alien prepared to face whatever came next, together. The morning fog rolled over the dock, hiding shapes and shadows in its grey mist. Arlen stood near the shed, the alien beside him, both alert and tense. He had known that sooner or later, the hunters or the town would come back. And today, that moment had arrived. Voices echoed through the mist, low and commanding. Figures emerged from the shadows, stern men with sharp eyes and cold expressions. They pointed at the alien, calling her dangerous, forbidden, and unfit to live among humans. The alien shivered, pressing close to Arlen, her large eyes wide with fear. Arlen took a deep breath, standing tall despite the fear inside him. "No," he said firmly, his voice steady. "She is not dangerous, and she belongs here with me." The men laughed at him, mocking his words and his loyalty. "You can't keep her, human," one said, stepping closer. "She is ours by law, by right, by custom." Arlen shook his head. "No law is stronger than trust, care, and courage, and I will not let you take her." The alien watched him silently, leaning slightly closer as if she understood the weight of his words. Tension filled the air as the men advanced, but Arlen had a plan. He activated small gadgets hidden around the dock, simple but clever traps that could slow them down. A bright flash blinded the intruders for a moment, and a loud clang echoed as small barriers fell into their path. The alien gasped softly, but Arlen held her hand, whispering, "Stay calm, trust me." She did, her fear giving way to quiet courage, as if she had learned from him in these few days. One of the men tried to grab her, but she moved quickly, her body agile and graceful, surprising everyone. Arlen's eyes widened in shock, then understanding. She had abilities he had not seen before. With a swift motion, she avoided the man, her glowing skin shimmering in the morning light. The others hesitated, confused and cautious, as they realized this was no ordinary being. Arlen smiled slightly, proud of her, knowing she had shown her strength without harming anyone. The alien stepped closer to Arlen, as if seeking his protection and guidance. The men exchanged nervous glances, their confidence shaken. Arlen spoke again, calmly but firmly. "You see now, she is not to be feared, she is to be respected." The alien nodded subtly, her large eyes shining, showing understanding and trust. The hunters finally retreated, grumbling, unable to fight what they could not control or understand. As silence returned to the dock, Arlen and the alien stood together, side by side. He looked at her and smiled. "You see, the world may reject us, but we have each other." She leaned closer, brushing her hand against his, a simple gesture that spoke more than words. The dock felt different now, not just a place of danger, but a place of courage, hope, and bond. Arlen realized that the confrontation had not only protected her, it had strengthened the trust and connection between them. That night, the alien sat quietly beside him near the small fire, her fear replaced by a calm glow. They shared moments of understanding, learning each other's rhythms, gestures, and thoughts. The dock, once a lonely and cold place, now held warmth, laughter, and promise. Arlen knew the world outside might still reject them, but together they could face it. And in that moment, he understood that acceptance was not given by others. It was earned through courage, trust, and love. The stars reflected on the water, shining brighter than before. A lonely man and a rejected alien had stood against the world, and together, they had won. And as the dock rested under the quiet night, a new chapter of their story was ready to begin. The morning sun painted the dock with golden light. Arlen and the alien stood together, side by side, stronger than ever after the confrontation. The alien moved with confidence now, her glowing skin shimmering in the sunlight. She no longer hid behind him, but walked beside him, trusting him completely. The dock, once lonely and cold, now felt alive. Birds chirped, waves lapped gently, and the small shed seemed warmer than ever. Arlen looked at her, a smile spreading across his face. He had saved her from danger, earned her trust, and now he realized something deeper. He cared for her, truly and completely. He knelt on one knee, a small box in his hand, trembling slightly. The alien blinked, her large eyes reflecting curiosity and wonder. Arlen spoke softly. "I know the world may never understand us, but I cannot imagine my life without you. Will you stay with me, not just as a friend, but as my companion forever?" The alien looked at him quietly, her hands reaching out to touch his. She did not speak in words, but her eyes shone brighter than the sun. Slowly, she nodded, a silent promise, and leaned closer. Arlen's heart swelled, and he knew that she had said yes, even without speaking. The dock became their witness, the waves their song, and the sunlight their blessing. Villagers who had mocked him watched from a distance, their expressions a mix of shock and awe. The hunters who had threatened them were gone, unable to take away the bond they had formed. Arlen helped the alien to stand beside him, and together, they faced the world, not with fear, but with hope. He placed the small box on the dock, opening it to reveal a simple glowing band. "Will you wear this, as a sign that we are together, no matter what?" he asked. The alien took the band carefully, placing it around her delicate wrist. Its light reflected her glowing skin, a symbol of trust, courage, and love. The moment felt timeless, as if the dock itself had waited for this day. Arlen and the alien stood hand in hand, their bond unbroken and unshakable. The town could gossip, the world could doubt, but here, on the dock, they were free. Free to be themselves, free to love, and free to face any challenge together. Evening fell, painting the sky with deep shades of orange and purple. They sat by the water, watching stars appear one by one. Arlen told her stories, pointing at constellations, and she listened with a soft glow in her eyes. She made small sounds, a language of trust and affection that only they understood. The dock had once been a place of loneliness, but now it was a place of joy, friendship, and love. And in that quiet moment, with the stars above and the water below, a lonely man and a rejected alien had found each other. The dock had witnessed something no one expected, a love born from courage, trust, and hope. And as they held hands and looked at the sky, they knew this was only the beginning of their story. A story of two beings, different yet connected, ready to face the universe together.